A great feeling from Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey in the morning makes me feel alive. Woke me up this morning, now I'm up and on my way. Oh, 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 yeah, what a great way to start your day, the Lakey way.
Well, there I am, my friends. Welcome to the show. How's everybody doing? Good to have you here on the program. About the Tuesday, the 9th day of December, year of our Lord, 2025. Pleasured, pleased, and absolutely thrilled I am to be here with you this morning. A glorious day that the Lord has made, and maybe you hear it in my voice, but I'm a little bit raspy. You know, sometimes you go to a tropical rainforest for 10 days or so, and you're at a different climate, and then you come back to cold weather. You get a little bit of a raspiness in your throat, but that's okay. I'm fully capable of doing the program today after years and years of training in corporate media, and now I have been unleashed, Lakey unleashed, to do this little unleashed broadcast, streamcast, and podcast. I think it's the only show in America that makes the claim that we can do broadcast, streamcast, and podcast all at one time. So you're welcome, and thank you very much for that. All right, got a question of the day about Christmas cards. I want to get to that here in just a moment. Also, we'll go through some of the headlines in just a bit as well. One of the headlines we want to get to is the arguments in front of the Supreme Court yesterday. I'll dive into that. Very important couple of hours, I think, for the future of our republic. And maybe you're not paying attention. They don't televise what happens in the Supreme Court. You can kind of pick up on some audio, but it's not as exciting and tantalizing or titillating, but a very important discussion about the power of the executive branch and whether we still have three separate but co-equal branches of government. So that question is coming up in a story. Anybody remember the name Philip Rivers? Played football in the NFL for a few teams, maybe one of your favorites. He retired. He's 44 years old, has 17,000 children, and I guess he got tired of all the kids, even the grandpa. He's 44 years old. When the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday lost their quarterback for the rest of the season for a torn or ruptured Achilles, somehow Philip Rivers said, you know what, I've been coaching high school football, and I have like 1 billion children at home, and it's loud, and I got a grandkid, and I'm coaching high school. Hey, you want to sign me up, coach? And I guess if the Indianapolis Colts are going to bring Philip Rivers in to the NFL. That's what the rumors are today, that Grandpa Rivers, as you say on the screen, would return to the NFL. Now, let me ask you, I'm beyond the age of 44. I've beat that by a decade or so. So I'm thinking, is there any? Could you have played NFL level football? I played high school football, and I was very active in college. And at the age of 44, I probably would have had my butt kicked going back out there. Now, I'm just thinking, 44. That's asking for a licking. I hope you can keep on ticking, but good for him. So Philip Rivers looks like he's returning to the NFL as a grandpa. Here's a story I think we should discuss at length in the next several days, that Australia, the nation of Australia, has decided that if you're 16 years of age or under, you're under 16 years of age, you should not have access to social media. So your TikTok and your Instagram and your Facebook and all the things like that, 16 years of age should not be access to that. And some of you say, well, that's not freedom. Well, I asked my son when he was about 16 or 17 about that kind of question of it. Should kids have access to social media? And actually at the age when he was still on social media, he said, no, we probably shouldn't. Pardon me, I got this little cough going on here, and it's re-entry, but that's okay. Still doing this show here today. Radio, go through this again. Radio, you have a cough button. Television, broadcast, streamcast, you don't really have a cough button as well. So I will do my best to refrain from the clearing of the throat today, but we'll do that. All right, let's go through this. But let's do the question of the day. Then I want to get into the Supreme Court discussion yesterday. The question of the day is, today is National Christmas Card Day. So it is a day that you're supposed to, get those Christmas cards out. I never understood people that sent Christmas cards so late, and I get them like the day after the New Year's, because if you're like me, if I get a Christmas card, we have a place in the house, generally around the mantle of the fireplace, that we will display Christmas cards. Sometimes it varies on occasion. Around some windows, but if you send a Christmas card to the Lakey estate, we will, if we like you and we think it's a good enough photo of you and your family, or well wishing, if we like you enough, we'll display that. If not, we'll bury it in the back. but I like to display those. And so I always think, the week after Christmas, I'm just now getting the Christmas card. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to read it. I'm going to thank you for it. I'm going to write your name down because I probably didn't send you one. And it's going straight to the trash can. I don't save the Christmas cards. I know some people even save that to remember who sent it to them. So here's the question. It's National Christmas Card Day. And first of all, I think it's a two-part question. Time.com, timemagazine.com, has a how to write the perfect Christmas card. It's stuff like personalize it, have fun. Don't worry if it arrives several days late. I disagree with that. So it's a last minute reminder that if you're going to get out those holiday cards, you really need to get the move on if you're going to send those out. And do you personalize it? I know a friend that sends stock Hallmark or American Greetings cards, but the only way they personalize it is that when you open it up, it gives the message. They handwrite Jimmy or Jimmy and River, my son. That's what they put. That's their personalization. To me, I guess it works. It's personalized, but it wasn't that meaningful for them to have to take the time to do that to 100 cards. So if you're new to this, or it's been a while and you need to know how to write the perfect card, you can go to time.com and they will tell you how to do this. But here's the question for you. Do you even send Christmas cards still? How personal do you make them? Do you just kind of what's your Christmas card saga? Do you actually send them? How many of you get a Christmas card in the mail and go, crap, they weren't on the list, and you write them one immediately back and send that off? I talk about your Christmas card experiences, and have you mailed and do you mail Christmas cards? Producer Chad said they haven't probably sent a Christmas card from the producer Chad household in 10 years. I sent out Christmas cards for many years. I think we actually sent one out last year. And it was always fun because it was myself, my son, all of his friends, all the trips I took him on. And it was kind of like it's like the frat house is what it was. Greetings from the frat house. We didn't call it that because I'm a good parent, but I would send them out. I think we did send one out last year. And our Christmas cards are custom made, have those printed out and shipped off. But it's usually just photos of my son and I various activities that we have done. Now, here's a follow-up to the Christmas card question. Do you still, or remember there's a big deal, and I don't get as many of them as I used to, but everybody wrote the Christmas letter. And you had to write the Christmas letter. And some people would send you a Christmas letter that was 2 to 3 pages long. And it would be like, Harold blew his knee out, had to have the surgery the other day. And Mabel, well, she had the hemorrhoid surgery back in February, couldn't sit down really properly until April. It was a real mess trying to clean her up in the bathroom. You're getting all this detail about this family stuff that's going on. Do you still send the Christmas letters out? For some reason, I don't get Christmas letters as much as I do. And sometimes it was interesting to kind of catch up and find out what your long-lost cousins were doing. And then you realize I really didn't care that much anyway. If I wanted to stay in touch with them, I would have. So a simple thank you or a simple Christmas card would have been fine. But there's just some general questions here that I have. Do you still send Christmas cards? And if you do, are they homemade? RJ says a homemade cards. That's a nice touch. Do you buy the expensive ones, the box cards? How do you do it? Remember in the day, people used to go to the print shop, the local printer, and they would have their cards that go through a book like their wedding invitations, and you would order mass, and it was fancy if you had your name printed on them. And now the big deal is you sign them. So anyway, just curious about your Christmas habit, and it is National Christmas Card Day. So if you haven't got your Christmas cards out, post haste, kids. You got to get those things out and get them all mailed out. I believe, and also a reminder, I think I already got one from Laura Carno. She's always the quickest to send one to the House of Lakey. She's very Johnny on the spot, or Laura on the spot. Laura Carno sends her Christmas cards out post haste, very prompt, and she gets that done. She's a very organized individual. I don't care what producer Chad says about her. She's very pronto, and she gets those things out. So I got to go through the stack. There's some mail that I got while I was gone, and I still got to go through the stack when I get home today. So I will find that out and see if I got some Christmas cards. But anyway, give me your Christmas cards thoughts. And RJ says they still send out Christmas cards that are homemade. Who still sends out the Christmas letter? Anybody send out the Christmas letter? Those were always fun. You can find it's been pretty good year weather out here. We had a little bit of snowfall in the spring and a heavy rain in the summertime. Other than that, though, it's dry and could catch on fire at any moment. I mean, those were the Christmas cards. The Christmas letters were just funny because they were trying to sum up like a newscast, 1 year of activity. and you learned all sorts of stuff. You learned about who had surgery. You learned about who, you learned all the family gossip there, and it was always good. You always found out somebody died. You always learned that somebody got a new job. You always found out that somebody went to jail. I mean, you always found something out. Pray for your cousin Bobby. He's locked up again. We don't know how he's going to get out. It may be a couple of years, but we hope he makes it to Christmas before we pass on. I love the family letters. If you still get family Christmas letters, let me know. I don't seem to get as many of those as I used to. All right, let's go to the Supreme Court yesterday. There was a discussion in the Supreme Court yesterday in whether or not the Trump administration, i.e. the executive administration, can hire people that are in the executive branch of government. Now, let us remember from our days of civics and government that our founders intended that we have three separate but co-equal branches of government. Say them with me: the executive and the presidential branch, the legislative branch, which is the House and the Senate, and the judicial branch, which is, of course, all the judges and leading up with the Supreme Court. So should bureaucrats that are hired in the executive branch, so all the operations of government fall under the executive branch, should the president, when he comes in or she comes in the future, want to fire bureaucrats, should that president have the right to fire at will who he wants or who she wants in the executive branch of government? Or do the bureaucrats hired, let's say that Donald Trump hired somebody in his first term and the President Biden doesn't have the right to fire or terminate that, that means that the bureaucrat in that position ranks higher than President Biden. Well, Donald Trump came in and he wanted to fire some people. He fired a lady named Rebecca Kelly Slaughter and Alvaro Bedoya, and they were Democrat commissioners on the Federal Trade Commission. The administration says they acted squarely within the power of Article 2, which vests all the power of the executive branch in the president. Well, of course, you found a judge that said, no, the president doesn't have any power, especially if his name is Trump. And so they go all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to decide whether or not the president has full power of the executive branch. To me, it's a no-brainer here. The co-founders gave us three separate but co-equal branches of government, and if there's a branch of government or a group of employees that even the president in the executive branch has no authority on, that's creating a fourth branch of government that's accountable to no one. And you say, that sounds like a really dumb idea. Well, there was some things that happened in 1935 in which they said, yeah, the president doesn't have full tilt when it comes to the executive branch. Well, the Trump administration is pushing that, and Rebecca Kelly Slaughter and Alvaro Bedoya, Democrats on the Federal Trade Commission, have sued. And so in July, Joe Biden appointed his appointed district judge, Lauren Alkin, overrode the firing and ordered Slaughter to be reinstated. The D.C. Circuit Court, all sorts of Obama judges, upheld the decision, citing a 90-year-old case, Humphrey's executor. The Supreme Court in September granted the Trump administration's request to stay the lower court decision, meaning Slaughter would remain removed while legal challenges proceeded. And at the same time, the Supreme Court accepted the case for full argument. So on Monday, which would be yesterday, there were over 2 hours of arguments in which Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown, or Brown-Jackson, kind of went into some kind of a no kings rant and rumbling, saying that the president should have almost no control over scientists, economists, regulators, and other experts in Washington's bureaucratic empire. According to Ketanji Brown Jackson, the president elected by millions of Americans should not have any control of transportation authorities, economic regulators, the Federal Reserve, multi-member agency boards, and vast sectors of policymaking. She said that these issues should not be under presidential control, and she in fact invoked worries about a monarchy, suggesting that the president firing bureaucrats would somehow place the American people on the road to a kingship. Well, that's Ketanji Braxton. She says that some issues, quote, some matters, areas should be handled this way by nonpartisan experts. That Congress is saying the expertise matters with respect to aspects of the economy, transportation, various independent agencies. So having a president come in and fire all the scientists and all the doctors and the economists and the PhDs and replace them with loyalists and people who don't know anything is actually not the best interest of the citizens of America. She said these issues should not be in presidential control, and she says can speak to me about the dangers of allowing this. So it was a back and forth of 2 hours. Now, just a second, I will tell you what Justice Gorsuch did, I think, to really, and Brett Kavanaugh did, to dismantle Ketanji Brown's arguments. And this is a big case. This is a very big thing that basically, if Ketanji Brown Jackson gets her way, the executive branch of government will be kind of a figurehead. It can do some things, but you'll have a bureaucratic state that becomes a protected fourth branch of the government. And that is what we don't want. So everybody stand by. I'll come back to that story here in just a couple of seconds. All right, let me get to my first guest of the morning. And it's a wonderful book if you have not read it. He's a co-author of a book called Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law. We'll talk about it. It's David Cancio. He co-authored the book with his father. We had his father on a few weeks ago. But David joins us here into the hotline, in the studio, in the green room. And if I can find the right screen on my screen, I'll bring David into the program. Co-author David Cancio, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Let's get into some topics at hand. But we interviewed your father, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, Umberto, and this book, Gabriel Locke, kind of talk about it. What's it about, and why did you and Pops put it together?
So first and foremost, thank you for having me. Real quick about the book. It basically follows this young attorney, Gabriel Locke, who has left the prosecutor's office for Miami-Dade County, and it shows him practicing with his father, dealing with some of the clients at the time in Miami Vice, Miami, as you can imagine, fun time in the 80s. But it shows a lot about his integrity and really him dealing with his clients and being the shield of the client in their different disputes. And so the way that I would basically frame it to people, the reason why you should go out and buy it is because it's a love letter to the American people and who they can be. And one of the things in particular that people have talked about is how much morality is placed before them with each and every one of the cases, the compassion with which he deals with his clients, as well as forcing people to recognize their own morality and whether or not they've lived up to the American ideals. So that's a little bit about that.
The name of the book is, again, Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law, written by D&H Cancio, David and Umberto. Father-son writing team in Florida. We had Umberto Cancio on a couple of weeks ago. This is David, he is a co-author. David, I was just talking about some things that the judicial system or the justice system is doing. Seems to be purely partisan, seems to be purely political. Every time they talk about judges, especially in D.C., it's this one was appointed by Biden. That was appointed by Obama. So who they are appointed by, you're just like, okay, that's how they're going to rule. The Lady Justice seems to have taken the blindfold off. You're talking about in this book, judges maybe in Miami-Dade and cases there. Is it just in Washington, D.C. that Lady Justice has taken the blindfold off, or are we at risk of that in every court?
No, I think that to a degree we're at risk with that in every court. But there have been shining moments. I don't know if you recall, in New York, they had obviously had the COVID vaccine mandate. And then all of a sudden, basically, I think it was 3 years later, it went to court, and the New York Supreme Court ruled that everyone that had been unlawfully terminated because they wouldn't take the vaccine was entitled to financial compensation. And that was something I never expected out of New York. Vice versa, our president last year was he was convicted, as they say, 34 counts in New York. And you and I both knew what the result was going to be just because it happened in New York.
Yeah.
So it is everywhere, but at the same time, there are certain things, at least where it's not completely partisan, where you still have a chance to a degree.
Yeah. Again, the voice of David Cancio. He and his father have written a book called Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. I know some of the story as Cuban Americans. Your father told some of his story of coming to America when he was on with us. But we're in a place in America now to where, there's one thing about people coming over legally and, the old Ellis Island pictures and the Statue of Liberty. And that's a wonderful picture. But we have people that have, for the last 4 years especially, flooded our border. They have come here illegal. We're not allowed to call them illegal aliens. That's considered racist. We're supposed to call them undocumented or immigrants. And there's some of us here in America that say, man, things have gotten very, very strange. Politicians seem to be fighting more for the rights of people to be here illegally and use our taxpayer dollars than they are for Americans who are struggling to make a dime, fighting more for make sure illegal immigrants have houses and hotels in New York City than people who serve their country, veterans living on the streets, homeless. Give me your thoughts. You're from a family of immigrants, Cuban Americans. And I'm watching and saying that somehow our perspective on immigration and immigrants has really started putting America last, and we're getting the last priority here.
Yeah, so I think when you look at immigration, right, if we were to look back at the times of Ellis Island, where I think it was 85 or 90% of all immigrants came through Ellis Island at one point, you're talking about a group of people that came to the United States, and they all wanted to become American, right? They had fallen in love with the American dream. And now, when you look at what people are doing when they're coming over now, they're not interested in assimilation. They're not interested in being American. They want to continue to be what they were here, and they're here just primarily for a better economic lifestyle, or perhaps maybe more economic opportunity. But they're not really here because they want to be Americans. They don't want to assimilate.
Yeah. You've been following, I'm sure, this story in Minnesota, Tim Waltz and the Elon Omar district. There's been a lot of money that was supposed to go to one thing that has basically gone to another. A lot of fraud, waste, fraud, and abuse. $billion fraud scheme has erupted. And politicians are, will they ever be held accountable? They outdid this all in the name of immigration, all in the name of for the children, all in the name of it's for, we're doing great work, don't judge us, don't be racist. But then you find out an entire immigrant community, or a lot of people in the immigrant community had been milking the system here, milking the system. Give me your thoughts.
In my opinion, we are too soft on crime. If any one of our politicians, I don't care if they're in the office or if they're retired, I don't care if they are small or they are large, if they have any link to this funding, which has gone out of the country, taxpayer money out of the country to fund terrorism directly, which is ultimately what they have found, they need to be in jail for the rest of their lives. I have no qualms about that. If you are a traitor to the United States because you are funding things against the United States using taxpayer money, you should be locked up in jail. You should spend the rest of your life there. If that includes Tim Waltz or Ilhan Omar, gone. And if I could, I would take Ilhan Omar and I would deport her. I think that she's as anti-American as it gets. And forgive my unfiltered opinion.
That's why we call it Lakey Unleashed. We like to be unleashed and unfiltered here. David Concio, you were born in 1991, lived in Florida, North Carolina, graduated from NC State, major in Spanish. You've native in English, fluent in French, and you've written a book with your father, Umberto, and it's called Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law, based on the corruption, fraud, waste, and just the stories we just talked about in current events. Tie that back into Bound by Law, because you hope that the book Bound by Law that tells the story of a young lawyer who faces some pressure. You tell his story. What would the character in this book say, and how would he fight this this weaponized government and these corrupt politicians that don't seem to be held accountable? How would that character relate to the situation?
Well, 100%. He had to deal with it. And not so much in the first book, because it's only 1981, but throughout the series, and this is a series of 7 planned books. You see how the corruption really encroaches within Miami. First, it begins with the Mariel boat lift, right? And then little by little, as the city's population had exploded with so many people moving there because of political instability in other places, you see the police force having to pick up whoever they can, and then that led to greater corruption, and then hence why they made a TV show midway through the 80s called Miami Vice. But the way that Gabriel would fight that is, honestly, I refer back to the way that J.R.R. Tolkien talked about destroying evil. As much as he was a brilliant writer, I think he was just as an amazing theologian. He said that it was small acts of kindness and small acts that ultimately defeated great evil. And if you think about it, it's just living to some kind of moral code that is in line with the American ideals. It's not hard to just tell the truth. It's not hard to turn around and just not take any money, or be on the take. It's not hard to turn around and say, I'm going to do what's right by my neighbor and do right by God. It's not. So if people had the individual courage to just do the right things, then right in and of itself, we would defeat a lot of these things. And I think what we drive home with Gabriel is that he does the right things for his clients, and he encourages them to want to do the right things. He lives by a biblical and American moral code. And so because of that, I think that's why so many of our readers have turned around and they've really just taken so much love to him, because he really does personify, not perfectly, but he personifies what Americans should strive to be.
There's somebody who says book has been acquired. They just bought one while we're talking. We appreciate it. Umberto Concio and his son David, D&H Concio, C-A-N-C-I-O. Look it up. Father-son writing team from Florida. David, you and your dad put the book together. Real quick, did you guys wake up one day and say we should write a book together? How did this whole thing, this collaboration, come about?
Yeah, so basically we were looking for a way to make up for lost time. I don't know if my father might have said that, but growing up with your father being an attorney, he works when the clients need him to. So sometimes you don't really have as much time as you're growing up. And when I was living in North Carolina, because I had graduated from NC State, he called me and he said, hey, I was just wondering if you wanted to do a project together. So we were actually working on something else, a series of children's stories. And I honestly had no desire to write that because they were based around the tall tales. And so he said, well, if you don't want to do that, what else would you like to do? And I said, why don't we, Dad, do you remember that case you did in Spain in the 1980s, early 90s? And he said, I do remember that. And he said, well, let's write about that. And that's actually what gave birth to all 7 books, even though that's only book 3.
Gotcha. So which books are available now for purchase, and then when will the next ones come out?
Absolutely. So actually, the latest one just came out 3.5 weeks ago. That was called Bound by Fate. For any of the listeners that are in the New York metropolitan area, we will be in New York City from the 9th through the 11th of January to actually receive the 4 Seasons Award in person. And we'll be doing 2 book signings in New York City. I'll provide you the details later, but the first book that came out was Bound by Law. The second is Bound by Fate. And then in April of 2027, Bound by will come out. And that is the 3rd installment of the 7.
All of these are available on Amazon and any other place you want to plug, a website or anything?
Absolutely. So you can find them on Barnes & Noble. You can find them on Amazon. You can really, if you just type in Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law, you'll find it. And all the books are linked. So you can go from there and find the next one.
Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law. Again, David, we appreciate your time. David Concio, co-author of the book, Gabriel Locke, Bound by Law. David, thanks very much, and have a great Christmas and holiday season, sir.
Merry Christmas to you, and Merry Christmas to all. God bless.
You got it. David Concio, thank you for hopping on the program. All right, good to have all of you here on the show. Jimmy is my name. Pleasured, pleased, thrilled, and I'm quite tickled to be here. Are you tickled to be here as well? Laura Carno's always tickled to be here, so she'll be with us here in just a moment. Hey, as most of you know, I just got back from Africa last week for our charity work, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. Today's Colorado Gives Day. I've got some great stories to tell you about that here a little bit later. We'll also talk about the work the Faster Colorado does with Laura Carno. We shall do that about Colorado Gives Day. So you've been waiting for this day. Feel free. Here's a way to give, though. I want to remind you in the final weeks of a great sweepstakes opportunity. And we put this together in Rwanda last week. And I want to show it to you. If you'd like to go to win.riverspromise.org, you can possibly win this beautiful Ford Bronco Raptor edition. It's a wonderful car. I've driven it. It's fantastic. And here we go. It's in front of the school. With Rivers Promise, and I'm right now in Rwanda, where your donations are going to make a difference and give the hope of education to children right there at our school, Legacy Christian Academy. Enter to win the Ford Bronco Raptor sweepstakes. Entries wrap up real soon, so you need to get entered now. And again, your donation is going to make a huge difference in the lives of children. If you've been waiting, I have to ask you, what are you waiting for? Go enter, and I hope you win the Ford Bronco Raptor, benefiting Rivers Promise. All right, there it is. It's a gorgeous vehicle. The December the 17th or 19th, I believe, is the final day. So get in there and get signed up. Last chance to win. We'll be doing a drawing, and that's a sweepstakes program, and it's win.riverspromise.org. All right. Pleasure to have you here. We'll come back and talk more about that Supreme Court case. And let's see, we had the kickback of Gorsuch and Kavanaugh dismantling Ketanji Brown Jackson. So that's good. But Ketanji Brown Jackson wants her to be a fourth branch of government. Let's welcome to the stage. She was absent last week due to not feeling well. I think she's still got a little cough going on. I've got a cough. She's got a cough. Everybody, let's just have a coughing segment. Coughing with Carno right now. Laura, good morning.
I have your cough.
Yeah. How did I spread it? I haven't even seen it. Just now I see you.
I don't know, computer virus or something.
We ought to call Bill Gates. See if he can fix that.
Yeah. So I would have to call Steve Jobs in the afterlife because I'm on an Apple.
Oh, I am too. Yeah, I am. So. Yeah, the Gates was more of a Fauci population control thing. Never mind, conspiracy theory.
I thought it was a computer virus.
Yeah, computer virus. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you're feeling better. No, last week you were not feeling very well at all, but you look better. You sound better than what I imagined you said you felt and looked like last week. I didn't see you, but it sounded horrible.
I was not good. So,
well, all right. Laura Carno, lauracarno.com. It's Colorado Gives Day. You want to spend some time talking about her, organization, fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org. Here's a quick question for you, Laura. Did you follow that Supreme Court case yesterday? Ketanji Brown Jackson says that the president should not have sole power over the executive branch, and some people should never be able to be replaced, I guess, by the executive. Did you follow that argument at all?
I heard the argument. I did not follow her logic because there is no logic. And Jimmy, I am not an attorney. I don't even pretend to play one on Streamcasts or anything like that. But her job as a Supreme Court justice is constitutional. And she should be saying, hey, this law or this, whatever comes before her, does it meet the Constitution? And she over and over and over talks about how she feels about things, and her feelings are not in the Constitution. And again, not a lawyer, not a Supreme Court justice myself, but this seems like a pretty basic thought process when you're a Supreme Court justice. That one of the lines, and for folks that aren't nerdy like us, you can tune in and listen to the audio and kind of get a feel for where the court's going to go and that kind of thing based on their questions. But I perked up my ears specifically when she came on because what she says just defies logic, Jimmy. So she was basically, as you were talking about earlier, making the case that these bureaucrats belong to the permanent expert class, and that if you get rid of them, as President Trump fired that one person, if you get rid of them, then he's just going to fill them with his political cronies, as if that's not what happens all the time. That is what happens all the time. Yeah. Appointed positions are appointed by the dude that wins. Elections have consequences. When Joe Biden won, he got to appoint people our side didn't like, and we had to suck it up and deal with it for 4 years. So she's just, I don't like to say this about any other person, but she's not that bright, Jimmy.
No, she's not. Somebody put she's a DEI hire, which you'd have to say she is. I mean, Joe Biden himself said, I'm going to have somebody that's of a certain race in that seat, period. Not the most qualified, not the most brilliant legal mind, but you look at the color of your skin. Yep, she works, and that's how she got the job. And she's the woman that in her confirmation hearing said, they said, what is a woman? And she said, I cannot tell you what the definition of a woman is because I'm not an expert. We have to have these experts in the government tell us.
Yeah, I'm not a biologist. And you're not a biologist, Jimmy. I'm not a biologist. But sitting here talking, I know you're a dude and I'm a lady.
Yeah.
And I get all of that just by being a fully functioning human on the planet. So
not even on Tuesdays do I identify as a woman. Not at all. Sometimes I like to feel pretty, but that's different. You said you listened to the arguments the entire time. I'm just reading the transcripts. I didn't hear it. But it sounds like Gorsuch and Kavanaugh kind of set this thing straight. And I think Kavanaugh actually said there's no fourth branch of government. So what was your takeaway with the rebuttal that came from Kavanaugh and Gorsuch?
Yeah, and that was the line I was going to bring up. There is no fourth branch of government. And that's exactly the point. The executive branch, the president runs the executive branch. And all of the things, I don't care how complicated people want to make it, all of the things that report to the executive branch are under the executive branch. It is that simple. And that's why there is no fourth branch of government was so important, because the president does control. It's sort of like going into a corporation, name the corporation and saying, well, these people over here, the CEO of the company, he shouldn't tell them what to do. The HR people, he shouldn't tell them what to do. They're independent. Or the law department, they're independent. They're experts. No, the CEO can fire anybody who works in his or her organization because they are the lead executive of that company. It's the same in the government. And even better, Jimmy, it's in the friggin' Constitution.
Yeah. It is in the Constitution. And by Ketanji Brown Jackson's argument, Dr. Fauci would have been an untouchable fella because he was an expert. And I think all of us know, Jesus, experts don't have political bends. Yeah, but they have profit bends. They have a lot of ways that they're getting rich in the government and through other activities. And they do have political bends. So the woman's an idiot, honestly. She's an absolute bona fide idiot. Anybody that tries to defend Ketanji Brown Jackson, you are probably just as idiotic and or brainwashed as anybody. I don't know if there's been anybody, and again, I'm no scholar of the Supreme Court, so I could be wrong. I don't know if there's been anybody more dumb than a box of rocks ever on the Supreme Court besides Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's just not real bright. I hate to say it.
Yeah, and again, her arguments are, extra constitutional. She talks a lot about how she feels and lived experience and things like that. That's not the job. If you want to talk about your feelings and lived experience, go be a pundit on CNN and talk about that all day long. That's the job there. The job at the Supreme Court is to see what fits under the Constitution. Is this thing constitutional? Is it not constitutional? And to understand that, you look at follow me here, the Constitution.
I feel very bad for other ladies of whatever the color of their skin is that could have been, maybe with a left perspective, put on that Supreme Court. But Joe Biden was so hell-bent on optic and visual politics that he chose probably one of the dumbest women to ever get a law degree in America. And that will be part of his legacy of, and to think of this, the Democrats want to win the U.S. Senate so they can pack the court, and they can't be trusted with that court ever again. Ketanji Brown Jackson is a dumbass, and unfortunately, that's who they had put on that court. It's really disgrace. I thought there were some crazed women on the court that Obama had appointed. Ketanji Brown Jackson, she takes the cake and the dessert and the punch bowl. She takes it all. She does it.
Well, and you look at, there was similar language between the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kamala Harris, that I'm going to hire or appoint or nominate or whatever the language was in those two cases, a Black woman. And by the way, I think everybody listening here would say, I don't care about the gender or in anybody's administration. I think she's brilliant. That's not the point. The point is the person has to be qualified. And I think it was Scott who said, DEI hired. Biden said, I am going to pick somebody in this category, regardless of how qualified they are. And that's the problem with it.
I don't know if it's just me, but did Laura's connection just go crazy? It was like a Max Headroom commercial there, digitized. But that might have been just me. Last week, I was hearing some strange thing because of the delay in Africa. So let's see if we can correct it. Laura, are you there still? Can I hear you now?
I'm here, and you sound like you're an alien from outer space.
So do you. You sound like an alien as well. Let me pull you off stage, Laura. If you want to maybe sign back and try to reconnect, we'll do another topic or something like that. Producer Chad, is my connection still good, or is that a Laura thing? I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, welcome to the program, everybody. Laura Carno, live streamcasting and broadcasting. Always good to have all of you here. And let's see if we get Laura back in. Laura, do I sound better now?
Yes. I thought the cough and the throat had just,
Yeah, I thought you might have been possessed by Beelzebub or something, and it was like Lord of the Ring or Lord of the Flies, and we're going to have to send in the troops to save you there. All right, Laura, let's dive into this. We have two statewide races. I know John Hickenlooper is one of our statewide races in Colorado that the left is not happy with the old barmaid John Hickenlooper. He's getting a primary challenge for his U.S. Senate seat. And to talk about this, these Democrats in Colorado, still as left as they aren't making their base happy enough.
Yeah, and this has been actually, there's been hints of it for the last couple of years, that when Hickenlooper is up, and I looked up the other day how old he was, and what I had guessed was he was in his 80s, and he's not. He just does not, he has not aged well in DC. Yeah. But anyway, but yeah, they're in the Mamdani style. There's these far left, even further left than most of the Democrats in Colorado, saying, and this is about John Hickenlooper, who's up for U.S. Senate, and Diana DeGette, our longest serving congressperson in Colorado, who's, I don't know how old she is, but she's been there a long time. She's the one who didn't know what about ammunition magazines. She said, well, when they're empty, you just throw them away because, she's going to legislate our gun rights. But anyway, not the brightest bulb either. But anyway, there's younger, more diverse people running against them. So one is Senator Julie Gonzalez, who's in the state legislature. Another person is called Melat Kiros, a woman I've not heard of. She's the child of Ethiopian immigrants, I read, and she's primarying Diana DeGette. And this is what's interesting. Republicans sometimes primary sitting Republicans. Democrats don't do that. They fall in line. But the language that both of these women are using is saying it's time for a new generation. And so that's the polite way of saying you're too old. And the other thing is, it's very clear that, both of these women are women of color, and there's some hints in there, and that there have been for a couple of years, that we need people who are less old and less white. And that's language that came from the left. So that's going to be very interesting. Does John Hickenlooper stick in there and fight it out and try and keep his Senate seat? Word is that Mrs. Hickenlooper, thank you, Scott, Hick will be 73. He looks 10 years older. Mrs. Hickenlooper loves being the Mrs. Senator, and they have a young child. I don't recall how old, but a very young child for a dude his age. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens if the primary opponents are told to get out and fall in line. It's not your turn, or if there's enough of a groundswell to get rid of the old dude and I hate to say old lady, but the long-serving lady.
The old lady. We'll look that up. The big regret is 68.
Is that Diana DeGette?
Yeah, Diana DeGette.
68.
68.
I'm getting up there. I'm getting up there. I'm 61, so I don't know if I can call 68 old yet.
Well, Diana DeGette's been there. I mean, she's been there 30 years. I mean, she's been there forever. Let's talk about that. These ladies that are jumping in from the left and wanting to get rid of the old farts and the old gigs here, the geezers here. Who would tell them to get out? I mean, is Jared Polis still in charge of the party? Is obviously Hickenlooper's not in charge, or they wouldn't come after him. Michael Bennett's running for governor. Michael Bennett's just looking for a new identity and maybe a personality as well. I mean, who would tell them to get out?
Yeah, and that's a good point. Who's the leader of the Democrat Party here? There's this new person running, a Democrat running against Jeff Crank in Colorado's 5th congressional district, which is a fairly safe district. But she is the second gentleman. What was his name? Doug Emhoff. She was Doug Emhoff's chief of staff, relocates to Colorado Springs to run against Jeff Crank in the 5th. And so I don't think she's going to beat him. It's Jeff's very, very popular down there, and it's a fairly safe, fairly reliable district for Republicans. But it's interesting. It's like, all right, well, with Jared Polis being out shortly, may or may not run for president at some point, but is somebody from the Biden administration, Doug Emhoff's chief of staff, being recruited here? Is somebody like that are they importing somebody to be in charge? But, it could be whoever wins the Democrat nomination for governor, Michael Bennett, because when you're running statewide, you're looking at who else is running statewide. Are they helping or hurting the ticket? So there will be political decisions made at that point.
Laura Carno is my guest. Scott, who's always kissing up to you. Scott usually says you're the smartest woman in Colorado. Now he says you don't look a day over 50.
He's so sweet. It's called good hair color.
Yeah. Where's Oliver?
Yeah.
Scott, Oliver's about to come.
I know. Where's Oliver?
Oliver's not there. Jim puts out something that says it used to be Pat Stryker's money that would tell the Democrats who was in or in out. So there was the secret cabal that kind of helped take the state over. Maybe that cabal's still in power. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't hear as much from them. It was that original Gang of Four. If you haven't read the book, The Blueprint, it really walks you through how the Democrats took over Colorado, and it's a blueprint that's, they're trying to use that exact same blueprint in other states.
All right, real quick, you sent me a link to the Babylon Bee, which I absolutely love. And the Babylon Bee says, we used this meme yesterday, producer Chad had it. The Babylon Bee says the special needs community is demanding people stop comparing them to Tim Walz. This is, of course, a reference to where Donald Trump said, I think the guy's retarded. Even Timmy Walz says people are lined up to drive by his house and yell, hey, retard! There's a traffic jam outside the guy's house. You sent me the Babel. There it is, right there on the screen. Special needs community demands people stop comparing them to Tim Walz. Your thoughts, ma'am? Is it nice to call people retards?
Well, I think that's not the word that's in vogue these days. I think there are other words to use, but so funny that the Babylon Bee, and if folks aren't signed up for their daily email, in the midst of bad news and the headlines and stuff, just the Babylon Bee is just hilarious. And they come at things from a conservative viewpoint, a Christian viewpoint, and it's just stinking funny. But the point of the special needs community, which is working on its own PR to have members of the special needs community widely accepted and so forth. They don't want anything to do with Tim Walz. So Jeff and Cassie wish that I would run for something. I will run for the hills if anybody ever suggests that I run for anything. Okay, here's the exception. Remember in the 4th Congressional District here in Colorado when Ken Buck quit, and then there was this 6-month interim. Greg Lopez was awarded this interim 6 months out of vacancy committee. I would do that. I would do a 10-day campaign to protect the district in DC for 6 months while everybody else runs for the eventual office. That's the only thing I am in any danger of doing if that were to happen again. Not that I'm saying it would happen, but that's how easy I would want it to be if I were to run for office.
Yeah, see, there's Scott kissing up. He says Laura's smarter than running for any office in Colorado. So they never call me smart. They never call me anything. They just call me names. You get on here. She's the smartest woman in Colorado. Nobody ever said I'm the smartest dude in Colorado. I guess.
Well, look what Scott said. It's because his wife lives in Laramie. He can call me the smartest in Colorado.
Well, does Scott have a husband in Colorado? I mean, he's not in Colorado. I am. He hasn't called me the smartest dude here. So there's no excuse here. There's no excuse. I get no respect. Oh, you're starting to break up again. Laura, I want to hit fastercolorado.org. It is a Colorado Gives Day, and folks need to make some donations today. Talk about Faster Colorado.
Yeah, your voice is messed up again.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do the same thing because they said it was on your problem there. Because everybody said they could hear me. So Laura, leave, and she's going to come back. 5, 4. This is live. This is what happens when you are homeless. Laura, there she comes. She's entered the studio again. Laura, they said last time they could hear me, but it wasn't you. So it wasn't me. It was you. So it's kind of like a lot of my breakups that happen. It's not me. It's all about you.
Yeah, I'm going to blame Brother Elon then. We're on Starlink out here in the country.
Yeah. Stacy says I look smarter with glasses.
You do.
This is not a compliment. And Scott says you're in my top percent, guys.
Aww.
See, yeah, these are not compliments, Laura. These are backhanded insults by an ungrateful audience right there.
Well, we still love you, Jimmy. So
Faster Colorado.
You're smart in my book. Yes, today is Colorado Gives Day, and it's a day when the Colorado Gives Foundation encourages Coloradans to give to nonprofit organizations, and Faster Colorado is one of those. The benefit of going through Colorado Gives Day is that for every $1 you donate to Faster Colorado through Colorado Gives, we get a percentage of their matching fund. It's not a dollar for dollar match, but it's a percent on a percentage basis. So very, very helpful for Faster Colorado, one of our bigger fundraisers every year. So if folks wanted to go to coloradogives.org, look for Faster Colorado, or if you wanted to go to fastercolorado.org, you can connect with Colorado Gives there.
fastercolorado.org, or just look up Colorado Gives. Today is the giving day, and all the donations that go to Faster Colorado, they get a percentage of the matching funds and the foundation that Colorado Gives has. And today's a great day to donate and make sure dollars go further for Faster Colorado if you make a donation today. Fastercolorado.org, or look them up on the Colorado Gives website. All right, Laura, I bragged about you earlier. I said when it comes to Christmas cards, you were always Johnny on the spot. And you're still doing the Christmas cards, no Christmas letters, anything like that, or you just don't send me the letter?
We do the Shutterfly picture card of whatever's happened during the year. Very few words. We don't want to make it too hard on people to, get through it. Used to do a Christmas letter, but this is easier and better, and people like pictures, so that's all good. I usually send them out. I usually drop them in the mail the day before Thanksgiving. And but this year we sent them maybe a week or two earlier than that since we moved. Yeah. I just wanted people who do send Christmas cards to know that we had a new address.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I thought. I've got yours. It's in the stack because I haven't decorated for Christmas, but they go up there, and it's always from Laura and Bill, and it's always a very gracious thing. So we appreciate that. And you remember the Christmas? That was a big trend for a while. Christmas letters. I don't think people do them as much. I mean, but some of them are getting real personal. I said this earlier. So your Aunt Frances had the hemorrhoid surgery, been sitting on a pillow for months. And you're like, I didn't need to know that about Aunt Frances. So sometimes they gave a lot of information.
TMI, yeah. And I still get a couple. There are people I still exchange cards with that I used to work with 30 years ago in previous jobs, and that's the one time a year we stay in touch and get Christmas letters and stuff on how their kids and grandkids are doing. I enjoy reading them, but they are a lot of work if you're putting them together.
Yeah, they're a lot of work, and usually people choose a real weird font or something on some ugly piece of paper. Just send me the card. That's what I do. How many times, Laura? And I have a fun story. Well, fastercolorado.org, give some money. Colorado Gives Day. How many times do you get a Christmas card and go, crap, I think I forgot them or something, and you rush off and try to make good, and then you're like, I hope they don't think I'm sending it just because they sent me one. I just forgot them. I really like them. You ever have that kind of worry that they're going to think it was a tit for tat?
If I was worried about what people thought about me, I'd be in big trouble. I do way too much public stuff. Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, sometimes things get mixed up, or, they fall off the list because they kind of got out of it and now they're back in it. And yeah, just if I missed somebody, I'll just send them a card and move on with my life. I worry very little. Maybe that's why I only look 50.
fastercolorado.org. Everybody make a donation. Colorado Gives. Look up Faster Colorado, and you're helping keep a kid safe in school in Colorado. If you're out of state, you can still use the Colorado Give site. Fastercolorado.org. Fastercolorado.org. Laura, you didn't cough. I had to step aside to cough a little bit, but maybe that little computer glitch we had was just a cover up for your coughing. Maybe the virus has spread.
I coughed on those intermissions, and then I also muted twice to cough.
You're talented. I can't ever mute to cough, so I just removed myself from the screen. Laura Carno, fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org. That was a cough. See, I didn't mute because I look smarter with glasses, and as you cough with glasses, it makes you even look smarter than what you can anticipate. All right, more than 1 in 7 Americans have more than one Christmas tree. How many do you have? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's go back to this Ketanji Brown Jackson. This is a very important case, and the Supreme Court will rule. But as Ketanji Brown Jackson unleashed a crazy defense to have unelected bureaucrats accountable to no one, bureaucrats should outrank the elected president of the United States. It stems from a March decision to fire Rebecca Kelly Slaughter and Alvaro Bedoya. They were Democrat commissioners at the Federal Trade Commission. And so Trump acted. And so the arguments were fascinating. I've got to go back and listen to it, actually. I'm just reading excerpts, but I can tell you it is frightening that you would have somebody out there that would think that bureaucrats should have higher ranking than anybody else. They cannot be fired. They can't be removed. They're supposed to be in the executive branch, but evidently they don't like that. So if you watched it yesterday, it was a very important Supreme Court oral argument. I think it goes towards the future of our republic. That are we going to continue to have 3 separate but co-equal branches of government, or is this a DEI hire Ketanji Brown Jackson going to get her way, and there will be an unelected group of bureaucrats that have ultimate power and can never be fired? And let me just do this here. I'm going to put myself on a little mute. I got a cough, so let me see if I can be talented. Here's what Brett Kavanaugh had to say about this. Let's see if I can pull it up now. I lost it. I want to give a chance to deal with a hard hypothetical. When both houses of Congress and the president are controlled by the same party, they create a lot of these independent agencies and extend some of the current independent agencies into these kind of situations so as to thwart future presidents of the opposite party. So Kavanaugh's making the argument, hey, listen, this is what happens. They're trying to block the other party and build these agencies, and you're trying to keep your policies going as long as possible. And he says that's not fair. The guy's elected, duly elected by the people. Donald John Trump won the electoral vote, and he won the popular vote. And to be forced by Ketanji Brown Jackson, the DEI hire and disgraceful addition to the United States Supreme Court, to be blocked by her and said the will of the people doesn't matter. You have to, in these agencies, keep the people that Joe Biden wanting to run these commissions. That is nothing that our founders ever intended, but I'm not sure Ketanji Brown Jackson knows much or cares much about the founding of this great country. It's really frightening what Ketanji Brown Jackson was arguing about yesterday, and it lets you know the tyranny and the hatred that the American left and modern Democrat Party and appointees obviously have for our country and the founding principles of our country. All right, it looks like the trend is out there that many of you do send the Christmas cards. Does anybody still send the Christmas letter? We sent the Christmas letter years and years ago. Used to get them, but now you don't. Arloa says, I don't do letters, but do love making my own greeting cards, Christmas, birthday, etc. But she likes to receive the letters. The letters were a cool trend for a while. I just don't think they're as in as much because it takes a while, or people now have how far down the genealogy do you give updates about? You try to put the good stuff and then you put the bad stuff, and then you feel like you're crying and whining. I like the cards. Now, here's what I never understood. And I don't judge. I just thought it was kind of a double whammy. People that would send a card, and inside the card was the Christmas letter. That I didn't understand. If you're going to just send the Christmas letter, send the Christmas letter. Stacy said, I've been sending Christmas cards in the mail. When I have not been sending Christmas cards in the mail. When I give a gift to someone, I sometimes attach a Christmas card to it. There's a lady who sends me a 3-page Christmas letter about her year with a card. All right, there's a moral question here about just how much is TMI. If you have to put 3-page letter, and I don't know what the font size is, to tell people about your life, maybe you should just call them like once a quarter and update them then. If you're expecting me to read a 3-page dissertation about your life at Christmas time, bah humbug. I mean, I love you and everything, but I don't really need to know it. I don't need to know which ones it will. Baby Jay is facing his acne. He's about 14, got pimples all over his face, and good Lord, he pops those things on the mirror and makes a mess. We have to tell. That's the kind. I don't want that much information. I don't want to know about things that are happening in your household like that. So yeah, the Christmas letters I can do without. I don't. Last year I don't remember getting a Christmas letter. Maybe we did, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. All right. I've got so many stories we haven't gotten to here. I do want to have this discussion in coming days about being 16 years of age. And if you're 16 years of age, can you or can you not? Should you have social media? I think that would be a very interesting thing. Australia has banned social media for those people under the age of 16. So we'll pick up on that topic of conversation a little bit later on. I want to remind you, it is Colorado Gives Day. For those of you in Colorado, you know what that means. Every year we get asked, is Rivers Promise on Colorado Gives Day? We have found, and this is open for discussion next year, I guess, but we have found the effort that it takes to be on the Colorado Gives website versus the actual response we got was not worth it. We don't have a paid staff. It's just kind of a bunch of volunteers that run this whole thing. And so we are not. And that's fine with us because we had more people that on Colorado Gives Day would just go to our website, Rivers Promise, and make a donation than went to the Colorado Gives site. So there may be some charities out there that are not on the Colorado Give site, and Faster Colorado is. Make sure you go there for Faster Colorado, but there's going to be some other charities that are probably not on there because it does take a lot of paperwork to get listed on that site, and it can be a pain in the patootie. So as you give to charities, don't forget you can go to our charity riverspromise.org if you're throwing around giving away some money for charity. Include Faster Colorado on Colorado Gives Day. These are Colorado-based charities. Rivers Promise is out there as well. We'd love to have you. All right, I have a thought. I'm going to do the stolen meme section of the show. But yesterday I was driving, and I said this. I always talk about how you can help Rivers Promise, and $30 feeds a kid, $1 a day for 30 days, etc. We told you that 65 sponsors a kid for the month. Sometimes I don't talk about bigger ways to help. And this year we could use some help. And we're saying this year, meaning the next couple of weeks. We have 30 kids in a classroom. 30 kids in a classroom at Legacy Christian Academy. And with 30 kids in that classroom, at $65 a month, I'm just pulling up the math, it's $1,950. It costs us $1,950 a month to take care of a classroom at Legacy Christian Academy. And a lot of times I say, hey, give $30 a month, $65 a month. Maybe as you're doing your year-end giving, you would like to be one of the persons, and I was doing some numbering yesterday, some calculation, and I think by the end of the next couple of weeks, I'd like to find 15 people that would say, you know what, Lakey, maybe, $30 here, $60, but you know what, end of your donation, $1,950, $1,950. That makes sure that a class is covered for an entire month, whether they're, that makes sure that in one classroom is covered for an entire month. That takes care of the classroom. $1,950. So I'm going to put this out in written form and kind of start talking about it. Oftentimes give you the smaller amounts. And then I have people sometimes say, man, what big projects do you have? Well, if you want to know big projects, reach out to me. We've got to buy a vehicle for a school soon. We've got a building project coming up. But something that some of you might want to consider is your end of the year giving, saying, you know what, $1,950, that's $65 times 30, and that takes care of an entire classroom for 1 month. And if we could get 12 people to do that, maybe say 15 to round it up, then that takes care of a lot of our operations for certain classrooms over the year, because we have some kids that are not sponsored. So some kids are sponsored, so we can spread that love around. So if you want to be one of the people, $1,950, that is a classroom for 30 days. Even if you just did that once a year, that would be fantastic again. But just do it one time, $1,950. If you want to do 2 classrooms, for just times it by 2, $1,950. That was a great year in American history, I guess, and I wasn't born. But if you go there, $1,950, and again, I sometimes talk about the nickel and dime, the small stuff, and the small donations are fantastic. But I know some people say, give me a bigger challenge, Lakey. So there's your bigger challenge, $1,950, a classroom for 30 days. We used to have a few classroom sponsors that sponsored entire classrooms. But it's a big commitment to do that every month. And because of various things, they usually last about a year or two. And then they're like, you know what, something happens. And I get that. We're not a heavy-handed fundraising organization. But if everybody could just do 1 month, $1,950, whoever could, I won't say everybody can do that, but if you could do that, that covers a classroom for a month. And if you do it now, that's just a bigger ask that we can give you. So if you'd consider that, pray about it. Maybe it's $19, maybe it's $1.90, I don't know. Or maybe you want to do the full big amount, $1,950 one-time gift, covers a classroom at Legacy Christian Academy for 1 month, and you could be a part of that by making a donation today. By the way, the website has our mailing address. Over the weekend while I was gone, received several checks in the mail from people that I think listen to the show or hear the show, and we have people that like to mail a check rather than play with the credit cards online. I get that. I'll give you our mailing address is a P.O. Box, and it's on the website, P.O. Box 185. That is in Frederick, Colorado, 8053. You can find it all on the website if you want to mail it. Mail that check. But don't forget, if you're doing donors advised funds or any kind of a request from some giving fund that you have. You need to get those requests in ASAP so that we receive those by the end of the year. And also, don't forget that credit cards are welcome, riverspromise.org. $1,950 is the big amount for the day, that if we could get about 12 people to do that, that covers an entire classroom for an entire year. And it takes a lot of stress off the organization, even if we just get 2 or 3. But I'd like to get the full 12, $1,950, $1,950. Would you do it? Mail it. If you're going to mail it, let us know. We'll start counting it. Just send us a message, info at Jimmy Lakey, and say, dropping a check in the mail. That way we can count it, and we'll know when we hit our goal. That would be great. $1,950. If you're in, God bless you. We'd love to have you help ease the pain and the tension that we have as our year-end comes to a close. All right, time for the meme roulette section of the show. This is where we go around the globe and we steal memes from the interweb. And before we do that, I want to remind you about Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. She was on with us yesterday talking about first-time home buyers. Go back and watch or listen to yesterday's show and find out her advice for new home buyers and how to proceed there. And that would be fantastic if you do that. Joe's on that show. She'll be back on with us Friday. Again, getting you ready for 2026 to get your real estate goals coming in clear. But it's Sherry. She's just a fantastic person to strategize with about the next phase of your life. She says most of her first-time home buyers come from references from parents and grandparents. She's helped other members of the family. She has a young couple or a single person ready to buy a house. Like, you got to talk to Sherry. She'll walk you through that. That speaks a lot that entire families recommend Sherry Cree to other members of their family. You know, this is not somebody that you just picked up a card down at the on the bulletin board at the coffee shop and said, I'll just call Sherry. No, the new home buyers, when the people are about to have their first real estate experience, most of her new home buyers come from parents saying, hey, we buy real estate through Sherry. She's going to help you. And they want their kids dealing with Sherry Cree. That is a testimony as to the type of person she is and the type of detail that she covers. So if 2026 is your season to buy a home for the first time, maybe it's your season to downside, upside. She said yesterday in the show, listen, if you're going to think you're going to move in the spring, the best time to move is the early spring, which means about February, March. Then as far as looking or buying or selling, you want to start taking action February or March, not waiting till May or June. There's a reason for that. She talked about on the show, but you can call her and talk to her about that and say, why is it that I would want to do that? So homeswithsherry.com, 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 and be sure to tell her that Jimmy Lakey is talking about her on the program, homeswithsherry.com. Set it up, get that appointment set up, and be ready to early 2026, homeswithsherry.com. All right, now it's time for the stolen memes section of the show, and where we steal memes from around the globe. You ready for this? Let's do it. Let's just spin that way. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. When Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, you have somebody holding the sign. He deserved it. When Tim Walz gets called a retard, yeah, there's the crazies out there. That's true. Illustrate absurdity. That's what we do with the stolen meme section of the show. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. The NCAA confirms that playoff selections were made by an alcoholic penguin. I said this the other day. I don't know why college football can't figure out a formula on how people qualify for the playoff and just call it good. I know it's a top 5 of the power conferences or the top in the power conferences, but other than that, there's got to be a formula that just plugs in and these humans are out of it and stops the stupid controversy for the NCAA. But hey, what do I know? Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Retard, a noun, someone who loses $1 billion to Somalia fraud. Well, there he is, old Timmy Waltz. Yep, Webster's Dictionary might have his photo next to it. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Here's a flashback. Contrary to Tim Walz, the rest of his family is not retarded. Now, remember all of his family came out the Trump 2024 election that wear the shirts? Yeah, that's the Tim Walz family. Can you blame him? They know the guy better than we do. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Hate crime. The heinous act of disagreeing with a liberal. It's a hate crime to do that. Yeah, they're not a very tolerant lot on the left, are they? Not at all. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. 4 stages of a man's life. You believe in Santa? You don't believe in Santa? You are Santa? Well, hell, you look like Santa. That's true. 4 stages. I'm working on that. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, intellectual property theft. And when the Chinese draw a boundary and say that we can, the Chinese draw the boundary and say that we are stealing too much of the intellectual property of others, it's a big deal. Scott, 1950 done. Scott, God bless you, Scott. Again, if you just tuned in, I thought yesterday, I said, we oftentimes ask, $30, $60. And I said, there's people out there that say, Jimmy, just tell me what you need. And if we could get 12, 15 people that would donate $1,950, that covers an entire classroom for 1 month at Legacy Christian Academy. That handles everything that classroom is going to need. That's the operation expense. And we just need that. And that would help us out. That's $65 a month for 30 kids. And you do it one time, 1 month, and boom, we're done with that. So if you could be like Scott, I appreciate that. I never thought we'd say that, be like Scott, but based on his behavior in the chat rooms out there. But if you can, make that donation today, $1,950. Now, I know some of you can't do all of that, and don't feel pressure. You can do $1, but it's Colorado Gives Day, and the best thing to do is go to our website directly, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org, and sign up and get on our, make a donation today. And again, we'll be sending out some information, but it hit me yesterday. I said, we got to ask you $1,950. That's 65 kids, 30, that covers one class for an entire month. And that's really helpful. $1,950. Anybody else want to stand with Scott on that? We'd appreciate it. And God bless all of you for doing so. It's time for me to wrap up the program. I coughed not as I did pretty good on the coughing, right? A couple of times you had to hear me cough a little bit, but I think I'm on the home stretch for this little entry head cold. This little stuffiness, little allergy. When you go from tropical rainforest to the North Pole, your body takes a little adjusting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you tomorrow. Jeff says, God bless you, Scott. Yes, God bless you, Scott. We appreciate it. Anybody else want to join with Scott? $1,950, or do a portion of that. Whatever you can. That's a classroom. It's Colorado Gives Day. And, of course, the end of the year donation season comes to a conclusion. These are all tax deductible. 501c3s. Make sure you do that. I'm Jimmy Lakey. I mean this. May God bless you. May God bless America. Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.